Hello, everybody. My name is Caitlin Myers. For my discussion board today, I wanted to go over the Vietnam War and its connections to the Cold War. The Vietnam War's escalation was directly tied to the Cold War. While the Viet Cong started the war as a fight for independence from French Indochina, their conflict quickly became a proxy war for America, China, and the Soviet Union. While the United States provided soldiers and weapons for French Indochina, China and the Soviets provided aid for Vietnam. While these countries could not directly fight one another due to mutually assured destruction, nothing prevented them from sending support to each other's enemies. According to George C. Herring's article, America and Vietnam, The Unending War, America's February 1950 decision to aid France in suppressing the Vietnam Revolution and the fall of Saigon in April 1975 increased the commitment to expand incrementally from economic and military aid to France during the First Indochina War to support the independent South Vietnam after the completion between the communists and democracy. This was only a singular facet of their conflict. After World War II, a power vacuum was left across Europe and Asia that other nations sought to fill. Many implemented communist governments across the continent and expanded their influence. One by one, the Iron Curtain spread across the land, and the United States wanted to halt this expansion. They began to support parties in opposition of communism. In the case of Vietnam, it became a target for choosing to implement a communist model of government to replace the colonial French government that it had been under. Intense between the two Cold War countries in conflict turned Vietnam into a battlefield. According to The Cold War in Vietnam, another article by Herring, China and the Soviet Union played a double game, seeking improved relations with the U.S. and urging North Vietnam to compromise at the same time. They provided Hanoi with the military hardware to launch large-scale convention offensive against South Vietnam in 1972 and again in 1974 and 7. Ultimately, the United States faced the same problem in Vietnam that the British had in America, where the people fighting for independence were more willing to die than submit. While the American people had no qualms about fighting communism, many opposed supporting the occupation of another land. The public support for the war quickly turned to opposition. With the conflict becoming more and more controversial and less financially viable, with the U.S. expending 82 cents per French export, according to M.S. Schickeber's article, Reconstructing Vietnam War, the U.S. had to withdraw, assuring the Vietnamese their independence from France. Ultimately, I don't think that the war itself was avoidable because of the dynamics that were going on during the Cold War. I think as different communist countries continued to try and help implement communist regimes, the U.S. was inevitably going to get involved in this conflict. This conflict, however, was very different from a lot of their other ones, and because of that, and the both sides being played at the same time, there really wasn't a lot the U.S. could do to succeed in this situation. And once they lost public support of the conflict, at that point, there really wasn't much reason for them to stay in there. But I just find it very interesting how the Cold War impacted so many other wars and conflicts going on at the same time. It wasn't confined to just the problems between communism and democracy. It was all these other proxy conflicts going on at the same time. Anyways, thank you for listening.